Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we are going to learn about the Nakute form. So essentially, the Nakute form is the negative version of the te form. Now you may be thinking that we already learned the negative version of the te form when we learned naide form. Well, that's kind of true, but there are some differences between Nakute form and naide form. One of the big ones is that usually when we use naide form, we are telling someone not to do something, whereas the nakute form is more used to state that someone didn't do something or that something was not done. And to get nakute form, we can conjugate a verb into the naide form, but instead of using naide at the end of the word, we use nakute. That might sound a little bit weird, so I'm going to show you what I mean in the next slide. So if we have taberu, to eat, and we want to change that to naide form, it will become tabe naide. If we wanted to change that to nakute form, it would become tabe nakute. Nomu, to drink, in naide form would become noma naide. Nakute form would be noma nakute. And suru, to do, in naide form would become shinaide. In nakute form would become shinakute. And finally, kuru, to come, in naide form would become konaide. In nakute form would become konakute. We are going to look at some uses of the nakute form now. These are going to be some of the same uses that we learned with te form. They're basically just going to be the inverse. Instead of talking about doing something, we're talking about not doing something. So first up, we have nakute mo. This is essentially the opposite or the inverse of our te mo form. It basically means even if X doesn't happen, blank, blank, blank. Alright, so let's look at an example of this. If I were to say, Watashi wa daigaku ni ikanakute mo ii shigoto o mitsukemasu, that would mean, even if I don't go to college, I will find a good job. You can see I introduced some new words there. I've got one underlined, one in red, and one in blue. Let's take a look at those. So first we have daigaku, which means college or university. Now, I know we're not studying kanji here, but I just think this is interesting. So the kanji used to write this, first we have dai, which means big. We would use the same kanji to write oki. We also have gaku, which means school. We would use the same kanji to write gakko. So literally, daigaku means big school. But of course, we translate it as college or university. Shigoto means job. And mitsukeru is a ru verb that means to find. So moving right along, next we have the nakute mo ii desu ka form. This is just the opposite or inverse of te mo ii desu ka. We use this to ask permission not to do something, and you could literally translate it as, even if X doesn't happen, or even if I don't do X, is it okay? So, if I said, Watashi wa daigaku ni ikanakute mo ii desu ka? That would mean, is it okay if I don't go to college? Next, we have nakute wa ikemasen. Again, this is the inverse of te wa ikemasen. So we use te wa ikemasen to say something is not allowed. Now, nakute wa ikemasen is used to say that you must do something or something must be done. It literally could be translated as not doing X is not allowed. So if I said, Anata wa daigaku ni ikanakute wa ikemasen, that would mean you must go to college. And finally, we have nakute sumimasen, and this is going to be used as the inverse of te sumimasen. We use this to apologize for not doing something. So, if I said, shukudai o shinakute sumimasen, that would mean sorry for not doing the homework. So now we're going to practice using what we've learned. To start out, I'm just going to have you convert some verbs into Nakute form. Then we'll move on to sentences. So our first verb is miru, to see or to watch. And this would become minakute. Next, we have tanoshimu, which means to enjoy oneself. This would become tanoshimanakute. Motsu, to carry. And it would become motanakute. And finally, we have benkyou suru, to study. And this becomes benkyou shinakute. Now, moving on to sentence translations. Our first sentence is, even if Mary does not come to the party, we will enjoy ourselves. Mary-san wa party e konakute mo watashi tachi wa tanoshimimasu. Is it okay if I don't eat breakfast? Watashi wa asa gohan o tabenakute mo ii desu ka? You must go to school. Anata wa gakkou e ikanakute wa ikemasen. Sorry for not making dinner. Ban gohan o tsukuranakute sumimasen. And that is all for this lesson. Ja, mata.